Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check brought to you by BB. A reminder that there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets. Welcome, guys. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Tucker Jackus and Dr. Will's Outlook. I hope you all had, as every Monday, I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. But this weekend was a little bit different, right? We kind of had a little bit of extra oomph to the, at least the crypto market, right? We got to see Trump speak at the Bitcoin conference. That's pretty incredible. I mean, even for me, I've been here since 2021 within the space and really within markets. I know people have been here a lot longer than I have. I can't imagine if you've been in crypto for even longer than that, how you must feel after you have Trump come to the Bitcoin conference, right? Not just do that, but also announce not only that he will not be selling the Bitcoin that the U.S. government confiscated, I believe, in the Silk Road, but also that, you know, there will be a Bitcoin strategic national reserve. I mean, these are things that are incredibly bullish for the future of Bitcoin ultimately, and that is why we join this space at the end of the day. But before we can talk about markets, before we can start cooking on kind of some of our more granular thoughts, obviously, on Trump's speech, what it means for crypto, and everything else in between, we always appreciate when you guys can hit that like button for us, maybe even smash the like button because it is a Monday. As I said, I hope you guys had a great weekend. It was a weekend where a little bit more was going on than usual, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It was better to listen to Trump speak than it was those Mara guys who I think were leading him in, those commentators on the live stream. If you know, you know. But yeah, let's talk markets a bit more granularly, right? I mean, Bitcoin has, I mean, I guess it's kind of flipped red on the day. ETH is green, altcoins are kind of green. It's a Monday, so I don't think you can attribute too much just yet to the price action that we're seeing. Obviously, though, I would say that it is a big week, right? We do have our favorite Fed chairman speaking later this week, Mr. Jerome Powell. Will the Fed cut? Will they give an exact date on when they will cut? I guess we will see. How will risk assets react? Obviously, in the last week and a half, equities have been showing a little bit of sustained weakness, but crypto and Bitcoin have largely fought it off. So I do think this is kind of a week where we're going to get a lot more clarity on equities, on crypto, and of course, also rate cuts and the Fed. What does our timeline look like to continue to play within these markets? But yeah, like I said, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I'd love to go ahead and open up the floor, see what you guys are thinking. Obviously, like I said, we had a monumental achievement for crypto and more so Bitcoin over the course of this weekend. I'd love to get some of y'all's thoughts on that, as well as kind of what we're expecting for this upcoming week, guys.
Will, I know you had something.
I'm just retweeting the live stream real quick. All right, I'm good.
Good man.
Yeah, so I can get into it. Sure. I would say study the Russell, right? Study the Russell. If you think that risk on is not the play, study the Russell. Do RUT, because I remember, and here's the thing. I like Michael Green, so I'm going to be adamant about that in the audience, right? Because some different people will have different opinions on him, but I think he's a very intelligent person. But me and him had this discussion that Russell was going higher. I was saying Russell was going higher. He was telling me that Russell's going to remain sideways. I'm pretty sure, if I remember the conversation wrong. And if you're here, Michael Green, correct me if I'm wrong. But he was stating that the market was going to go sideways and or down further for risk, aka the Russell. Today, we see Russell's up, right? And up significantly. And I like your little chart you got there, Tucker. When it comes to risk, the Russell is the best indicator. And I'm looking at this risk scenario here, and I think the market's about to go full on risk. I absolutely think the market's gonna, like, if we thought we saw risk at the end of 2023 going into 2024, you haven't seen absolutely shit. I'll just say it straight up. You haven't seen nothing. This market can get wild. And I think just so many people are in the anticipation that, like, again, it's almost like this double top PTSD going on, right? It's like you guys have been through Vietnam or something like that, been hiding in a hole for like 3 weeks, trying not to get killed, and now you have this PTSD of they're gonna come for you while you're at your house here in America. It's absolute insanity. They're not coming for you. Trust me. Michael Burry is not going to come to save your shorts. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, I'm looking at this, man, and the risk on barometer here for me is telling me up. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but it's telling me to bid more.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know, until you see the Russell get really get rejected somewhere, right? Which, I mean, it could here, but it doesn't really look like it. Like, I think it's probably going to leg up again after it fills that gap.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think everybody does if the Russell fills that gap and then jumps about 50% of that green bar you got there? What do you think normies do with risk?
They bid, brother. They bid.
They bid.
They bid.
They push it a hell of a lot higher.
Yeah.
They bid everything. And I think not enough people are considering this. They're not considering this right now. Like they're short-term bearish, long-term macro bullish. But if Russell chads, your bearish theses are out the window at that point. So I think that you really need to consider your risk here. Is your risk higher to the downside or higher to the upside?
What do you think about the NASDAQ, Will?
I think Q's is filled. I think it fulfilled its role. Draw a line underneath that support where you're sitting right now. Like you got clear high time frame support there. A lot of people are looking for like probably about 440, but I don't know if that fills. And that's heavy support. 440 is heavy support. I think anticipating anything lower than 440 is that's almost like wanting to blow up your portfolio. These corrections are fine. Like look at the prior correction, Tucker, where it rolled and then dipped. Yeah, pull a ruler on that. How far back did that come?
That correction was what? 8%.
What's our current correction?
9, basically 10.
Yeah, and what's the correction before that?
This guy back here. That's a long one. 11.
Wouldn't you say we're right in that window of the correction being over?
We are in that window, yeah.
We're right in that window.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying here. That's the important part here is like whenever you're in doubt of more downside, always look at prior correction percentages and then line it up with yours and tell me how much is it lined up with yours, because everybody's looking for the big correction, right? Winky fingers. And I think that you just need to look at this as a normal, healthy correction, not look for the big correction. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. And you guys can weigh in too, Tommy and Jackets, if you guys want to too on that. But
yeah, for sure.
I'm still cooking in the background something.
Okay, no worries.
I was taking care of some business, but
me too.
No, I agree that the Qs don't have to pull back more. I just kind of lean. There are some components within the NASDAQ that I believe can mean revert over a higher time frame harder. But that doesn't have to be damning for small caps. I will say that. Like my kind of the concentration of my bias on the NASDAQ is more so bearishness on Nvidia, which is, now trading within the third standard deviation on the monthly. There's not really much left room to go higher. And I think at this point, a lot of gravity that Nvidia is fighting. So I do think that Nvidia can come down a lot more than the rest of the NASDAQ.
There's a possibility of that with Nvidia. It can also chop for a long time before that occurs too, which means you're not really going to get any gains, but you're not really going to take any losses either. It's just going to be ranging between two price ranges. So that's always, I think with anything that's bid really hard, that's always something you should have in your deck of cards of expectations. And if that's not, then you should definitely start looking at things in that perspective. I mean, where did Nvidia come from? How much is it up right now? I don't even know how many X's anymore. I'm just
from the 2022 low. I think it's up like probably 10x, right?
Yeah, probably.
And that's immense for a stock. So like, I think looking at this as a whole, like you could look at this and be like, all right, I don't think it has to come down, but it could definitely trade sideways for like a year or 2 years and never really make a new high for a long period of time. So I think like
13x at the top.
I can see the case where you guys are like, hey, there's heavy selling here. There's a lot of people deleveraging the position at this point. I could definitely see that case, but that doesn't necessarily mean over for Nvidia, but it could just mean chop sideways. And if you look at that and you scroll that out there, Tucker, you have an M formation, and it looks like you already filled it with that green box at the very high.
Ooh, yeah, I like this, brother.
Draw the M on there, Tucker, for the audience that already played. Yep. And I honestly think that the M is fully played. I don't think you come down further than where he's kind of ideally pointed out. But if you cross that mid range of that M, I think you're going up higher. But they have to keep price suppressed here. If they flip the mid range there, they're going back up.
Yeah, I think if you lose like 105, that's when you get a whoosh, maybe.
Yeah, you're gonna get cooked in that. You're gonna fill the gap, and then but you have to lose that level first. And I think that you're still kind of holding. You filled the entire gap up there. You could come back and fill that bottom gap. Doesn't necessarily have to happen on the daily. I always take gaps on weekly, monthly time frames as bigger indicators of price pullback. But daily can occur, but it doesn't always occur for daily. It's kind of a tricky spot, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at Bitcoin. I'm just like, man, I gotta be in that bid range. I did post my buy. I think I bought at like 59, 58 something Bitcoin, and I did. I really believe that 52 is the low. I don't think that we're gonna be able to go from 70K all the way back down to 52 or lower. Again, we're kind of like creating lower lows, creating a flat top almost across the high here. And we continue to test the price range of resistance. And that price range of resistance is really going to break out. If I could get let me do a screen share real quick.
Oh, we got an early week Dr. Outlook cook.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me share. All right. So when you get a minute, Tucker, and then I think that that Bitcoin specifically is pretty interesting here, because I'm going to show an example of like what I'm talking about from like 2017. So as you can see right here, you keep creating this pressure right to the low here, and don't worry, this isn't bearish. What I'm going to show you, and then you continue to retest until you break, right? And now up here in this upper range, it's almost like the opposite, right? We were kind of moving, we're moving like kind of like in this channel. It's like retest. I mean, we could come down ideally again and retest and roll, but ultimately you're continuing to test the same range, and you're looking for a breakout. That's what you're looking for here. So does it happen before a rollover happens again? Who knows? I ideally was looking for this, and this is why I agreed with Tommy when we were discussing on Friday with the Chads. I think that there's a good potential for this to play out, right? If we're going to get more bearish plays, you're going to get one, you're going to get two. This is the low that everybody missed, and this is where everybody's looking for it to come back and retest the low, and then it rips. Inverse head and shoulders. So that's on the weekly time frame. if that ends up playing out. That would be the whole rest of the year. You're kind of playing sideways in September, October, and then sideways. What I mean by sideways is a higher low structure here, and then you break out from that positioning. So that's something that I've been kind of eyeballing. My apologies this morning. Bit of a weather change from California, but right here, this whole scenario.
Well, I got burritos in the oven. I got to run.
Yeah.
Oh
This whole scenario here is kind of something that I'm looking at for potential. So if we end up getting a pullback, I couldn't see anything below 60K. I would say IBC inverse head and shoulders, or sorry, IHS inverse head and shoulders, and then breakout. If we're gonna get a pullback at all, if we're gonna get one at all, right? If price ideally goes like this and shoves, you're not going back down. Like you're at that point. It's no longer a trap, and you're going to start playing to the upside. In my opinion, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, Tommy and Jackus, but that's kind of my thoughts.
I do think it makes sense that we see some sort of relative pullback from here, right? Whether that's, if you're a bear, obviously you expect that to be a deeper pullback. If you're a bull, you can expect a higher low. But somebody's asking about derivatives. I mean, derivatives are a bit overheated on a lower time frame, right? Like you can point to the weekend. For example, we are currently Bitcoin's not at all-time highs on prices, but it is at all-time highs in open interest. It hit it twice over the weekend. We've definitely cleared it in the past like 12 to 16 hours. So I do think that there is probably a little bit of cleaning up to be done. And I think you're already seeing that this morning, right? With these pullbacks off the highs. I will say one of the things that I've kind of noticed so far is that Bitcoin has been stronger, or not, rather ETH has been stronger on this pullback from the local highs. I think that's what you kind of need to see if you're a bull, because if ETH just totally nukes the structure, I think it becomes more difficult for me to be bullish if ETH structure looks completely fugly. But if it can save the structure, if it can be stronger than Bitcoin this week, I think that would be a positive sign for the health of the market.
I would add to that, Tommy, like that OI was skyrocketing this morning, like to the upside. And as you mentioned, I was mentioning this in my newsletter and in the group, that we basically hit a new all-time highs in OI, new weekly swing highs, while the price failed to do so. I would say that like I'm not seeing the full bearish thesis nor the bullish thesis really. Like I see the arguments for both, and I think it's one of the most conflicted periods of the market I've seen in a long while, where like you clearly have a bullish BTC structure on the daily, right? But you clearly have a bearish one on the ETH one. And you mentioned ETH kind of holding up well, but that's the problem I had with ETH for so long, is that ETH always remains to be not so weak on the downside, but whenever there is upside, BTC keeps on outperforming it. So what like ETH needs to do is at some point outperform on the upside. And like right now, the way ETH is looking is a clear bearish market structure with a bearish rejection. We are at a bearish block. So until it breaks again that crucial 3.5K resistance, it's going to be tough one. And like you really cannot tell clearly if the market is, and again, we are talking locally, right? Like I think the macro is kind of settled, the higher time frames. I'm pretty positive ETH is going to break 4K at some point. But locally speaking, it's kind of unclear if BTC is going to drag ETH upwards with it, or whether ETH is going to drag BTC downwards with it. But I doubt that you'll have like ETH selling and BTC getting high. Like, that's probably not going to happen. And that's plainly, crypto speaking. If we are disregarding all the stuff that's happening with TradFi right now and the GOTS and FOMC and all of that. So I would say that, like, if anything, I do advise people to have patience, to be exposed to the long side, but not be overly exposed to the upside, because you could get hurt either way. I know it's it's a tough spot for many to be in. I understand that most people either want to be all in or all out, and mainly in a single token, right? But yeah, these are harder times in my opinion.
I tend to agree. I think leverage positions are kind of difficult at this point if you're trying to leverage. I think if your spot position is fine. I also think like if you get another pullback here, 66K to all the way down to 60, you should be looking to position on that. But that's just my perspective because I'm looking at this as an inverse head and shoulders at this point until it's not, right? If it breaks 60K, obviously that gets invalidated and I have to look for a new structure, which would ideally be the low end range of this channel, right? And we don't want to see that. So for now, for me, I think with the current price range and us we kind of broke this higher range too with this current candle. So I'm looking at this, even though we're kind of bodied below it. If we swing, all we got to do is break this high. This is the ideal high right here. You break above that, I don't think it's a trap anymore. I don't think it's a trap at all. I think you're going high.
Yeah, I think it's not a trap if we are breaking 72K. Like at that point, I think really the market wants to send higher. But I would still be like not sure unless ETH trades above 3.5K too. Like I'm still having a hard because we know that BTC and ETH more or less move in tandem. Like if one goes up, the other goes up too. Like one can go a little bit higher or lower, but they'll both move up the same way for the downside. So if like I would still probably need, at least from my perspective, to see ETH breaking 3.5K.
Yeah, Ethereum's a little tougher. I will say this, even though it looks kind of like shit in here because it's continuing to get compressed to the downside, same with the RSI, you're kind of getting a compression move, which is really good, right? Which means a tightening move and then a breakout is what you're looking for ideally. That's why I kind of like drew this here because it's very similar on the chart itself. But the one thing I'm kind of concerned with at the moment, and this is really concerning me, is this right here is bottomed, right? OI on Binance is bottomed. And so when I look at these two, I'm just like, man, if the market is offsides on ETH, does ETH just go boom here, right? And we're on the 50 here on the higher time frames. That's kind of the other thing I was looking at too. Look, even on the weekly, you're bottomed. On the weekly time frame on RSI, you're just tapping the 50. On the OI indicator for Binance, you're basically bottomed. And so when you put these three together, like what this tells me, at least from what I'm seeing and the way I read this is telling me this has to go up. OI has to get higher. RSI is at the strongest point in the chart, so it should go up above the 50. And stochastic is also signaling a bottom move here. Even though it's a higher low and with not even low and with a higher low structure on stochastic, telling me that really what I'm seeing weekly daily is that the market probably wants to bid ETH and that this is a compression move for a breakout. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but that's what it's telling me. But it also on the highest time frame, as you can see here, it's a little concerning because you do have an hold on. I'm going to use that one. You have an overbought stochastic pretty heavily here. You had an overbought here, but now you're kind of back in this mid-range here, which this is still a support range, as you can see right there by stochastic. But you have, and you have the kind of the structure here on RSI. Now, granted, these have actually marked market tops, but if you're going to follow, you still have a lot of room actually on the RSI here to kind of pop up. But your OI indicator on Binance on the monthly is so high, man. Like these guys are like leveraged to the tits on this thing, and it's way up there, and it's just staying up there. So it's like it's almost like a bait and switch type trap. They can go a lot higher in price, I think, but I think this cycle's going to wash people when the bear market comes again.
One thing I wanna, before you go, Tommy, I know that you are breathing to speak.
Oh, I was waiting, buddy.
Maybe you'll want to, yeah, maybe you'll like this one too, because one thing that I was thinking of about the spot Ethereum ETFs is that lots of people forget that if you do buy them, you are not receiving the stake earnings, right? Like and that's a big, that's like a major turnoff for lots of people, because if you just buy spot ETH, you can stake it and earn additional 3% on the holding, which you cannot do if you buy the spot Ethereum ETF. And I think this could be like a major thing why people may not be as interested into the spot ETFs as opposed to holding it on actual spot. What do you think about that, Tommy? I do not think it was mentioned enough.
I think it makes holding ETH a little bit less attractive for a boomer.
Yeah.
But I will say, for me personally, I like that they have not allowed for just anybody to be able to stake ETH, because I do think that that's a ticking time bomb. So I would prefer it not to be bigger. It's already, I mean, I've talked about DeFi leverage in the past. Staking is a big part of that. I don't think you really want to see it get bigger. But like ETH go higher, the leverage get bigger to the point where, like Will said, the bear market for ETH or the eventual unwind will be very nasty. If you add on more and more leverage to that, you don't want to just have a cataclysmic event on ETH. And I think that staking is a big part of that. So I actually think it's better for ETH that people that trade the ETF are not allowed to stake. They probably don't view it like that, because it kind of takes away some of the things that you can do when you hold ETH. But for me personally, I think it's a bullish development for ETH long term that it doesn't allow staking for ETFs.
Wait, did Tommy just say it's bullish?
Backwards. He
ETH?
said it backwards.
Bullish ETH? Oh,
Yeah, I do think it's bullish. It's more bullish for ETH not to allow staking than it is to allow staking, because
for sure.
we've seen on chain, like these people will put, they will do anything but actually stake ETH. They will stake their ETH, but then they'll make like 3 or 4 different derivatives of the ETH that they just staked. So it's like there's tail risk that you create when you allow more and more people to stake. So I think it's good for ETH that it doesn't allow these boomers to do that, because we know how fiscally responsible boomers tend to be in financial markets.
Yeah. This guy said, I think staking is bullish. That's how you trap your customers. I mean, that's true.
It is. He's not lying. It is true.
True. But
you don't want them having an escape button.
you want them locked in.
That's why I always tell people when they're like, "Have you looked at farming? Have you looked at stake?" I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, nobody's stealing my liquidity.
Those like protocols were really a lot. Like we really haven't seen a lot of that this cycle, right? Like the crazy APY yield farming.
We haven't hit the top yet. That's why. Tucker, you gotta remember that.
I feel like everyone just knows that they're all scams now. Like at the time, it was like, no way, this is like actually revolutionary tech for a minute, and then everyone's like, wait.
Revolutionary.
Everyone was like, wait.
I remember having debates with people back at like the lows in 2023 or near them, and they were like, yeah, the next ETH narrative is liquid staking derivatives. Yeah. People are going to stake their ETH. They're going to get 5 or 6%. I'm thinking to myself, who gets into crypto for 5 or 6% yield? Not me. Yeah. Definitely not Dr. Outlook.
remember Time Wonderland? A lot of those were time bombs waiting to happen.
All of them were, bro. All of them.
First in, first out. That's how
Did you guys remember Snowbank? I had an APY on Snowbank DAO that literally went off my dashboard. Like, you have the OHM dashboard that'll give you the APY. Every fork did the exact same thing. And for Snowbank, which was Avalanche's like derivative of time, it was the APY was literally off the screen.
Bro, every time I would get reward tokens last cycle, I would just dump them. People were like, you should hold them, they're gonna go up. I'm like, I'm like, that liquidity I've locked in is lost. I just need to make more than what I put in.
No, you gotta nuke your rewards immediately for sure. For
Or
sure.
if they compounded too, it was literally just about like that was the best game theory I think I've ever seen in crypto was those ohm forks. Literally just a competition to see who could farm the most without getting wrecked. That was literally what it was.
Look at Dash. It dumps in the BB stream always.
Does
No,
it?
it was bound to dump. One thing I want to point this out for like newer viewers. It has nothing to do with the BB stream. Okay, although I would like it to have something because then we just want to stream. But it has more to do with time, right? So the market loves to pump while you're sleeping. 4 a.m., 6 a.m. if you're West Coast. And then and sometimes even 3, right? They like to switch it up. They like the sleeping times. And then while you're sleeping, you wake up to this big green number, right? You're like, yeah, this I'm gonna hold this. And then they dump it throughout the day to piss you off. That's literally what they do. They do this regularly, especially on Mondays. Monday pumps means you're gonna probably get crushed the rest of the week, to be honest with you.
Hold it.
So be expecting.
Oh, what are we at?
I don't know.
Ooh, any guesses? Any guesses on what like we're how many
45?
likes? What'd you say, Will?
45?
20.
We're at 120. Tucker ruined it. We got to get that like number up, guys. We've been cooking up for you guys this morning. It is a Monday. I know maybe we're a little bit tired from our weekend escapades. Maybe y'all did a little bit of partying. I don't blame you if you did, but all I ask is even just for me, man, you can hit that like button. Even if you don't like me, hit the like button. But no, we're doing our best to cook up a storm for you guys on this beautiful Monday morning. So we always appreciate when you guys can hit that like button. And as Max says, I'd love to live in a world where the tech algo gods don't ask us for the like button and that we could be judged solely on the merit of our content. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And we do need you guys to hit the like button so that we can continue growing this channel, which, as I always say, is in no small part due to y'all's support. So thanks again.
Being judged on the merit of your actions, Tommy. What is it, 1980? Back in the glory days of 1980? Study palm oil futures.
Bruv.
It's like a bubble burst.
Why do you have a whole list of that shit?
Of what?
Why don't you?
I just saw that. You had corn,
commodities list, Will.
Bruv.
All for market check.
OJ?
Study rubber futures, natural rubber. I had to pay extra for this one. I happily did it, by the way. Happily. Yeah.
I guess the sleeping giant that nobody wants to speak on, though, is Sol, man. That breakout on Sol across the mid-range is a telling sign of positioning. And I think not enough people are looking at that. They broke above the mid-range high there. Even if people feel that's a fake out, price would have rejected at the same price range or lower if it was not going to go higher.
I think Sol ETH goes to infinity. Or not infinity, but like basically up only for the next few years. I don't see why it won't. Some people might think it's a crowded trade at this point. Maybe on like a super granular time frame it is, but like I don't see any reason why Sol doesn't continue to take market share from ETH. Just look at the network activity.
Yep. I completely agree.
They keep saying it's nuking, but Bitcoin is pumping right now.
Oh, look at this.
Continue to retest.
Or
Retest, breakout.
I can't be bearish on the Sol ETH pair. I just can't because I'm so bearish on ETH USD and ETH Bitcoin as a proxy to that. But
draw the uptrend there, Tucker, and then the top.
I mean, this is gonna break out, guys.
Yeah, draw the top and then draw the uptrend. No, just straight across.
What, like from here, or
No.
like from like here? Yeah,
Right there. Yeah.
Good enough.
Higher low structures, study it into resistance. That is considered a breakout pattern.
I mean, maybe you get one of these that you bid.
You might get a deviation, but that thing's gonna run.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, it's a rejection and fail. You can only reject and fail so many times.
Brother.
So
I'm
it's going to
thinking
be over 1K.
for sure. Okay, well, what do you think hits all-time high first, Tommy? ETH or Sol?
Oh, 100% Sol. 100%.
Well, you can go bet on that on Polymarket, brother.
I actually, Tucker, I actually remember running a poll, and I was asking, and it was like in March or February or something. I was asking, who do you guys think, or what do you guys think hits all-time highs first? BNB, Sol, or ETH? And I was saying, first, it's going to be BNB, then probably ETH, and then Sol, and people voted exactly otherwise. It was first Sol, then ETH, and then BNB. And BNB was the first one.
Do you think ETH or Sol now, Jackus?
I actually would tend to, like, ETH is so fucked, so I would tend to think it's probably going to be Sol. Yeah. It will be interesting to watch. It will be. I would tend to think it would be Sol.
Yeah, they're both about
right now
40% off the highs, I think.
Yeah,
they're both about that. Like,
I just think it'll take way less to lift Sol than ETH. I mean,
yeah, market cap wise, for sure. That's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't consider is market cap. I mean, Sol is like what 1/10 of Ethereum's market cap. And I think it can't go higher 3x. Like, come on, guys.
They're both 30% off the highs, about 30%. So,
and
Sol also doesn't have any DeFi baggage. I want to also say that
is true. Yeah, less deleverage scenarios where it can just get smacked. FTX was pretty much the only one, but I want to point this out too. Like, I'm gonna drag you in, Tommy, but me and Tommy were pretty bearish at Sol at the lows, and I can tell you, I thought it was going a hell of a lot lower. But the second they flipped 30, I was like, it's done. It's not going lower. I'm like, it's going higher. That's it. Like, yeah, I can accept when I'm wrong, guys. Like, I can accept when I'm wrong. And as soon as I saw foot 30, I was like, this thing's going right back up. I was like, nope. And
man, the sad thing is, I had a fat Sol long when I was in Asia at one point, and I ended up closing it for like a scalp. I think the entry was probably, I think it was like 26 or 27 bucks after I'd been so bearish on it. I closed it for just a scalp because I was like, yeah, this is gonna reverse and it's gonna nuke. And I should have just held that damn long because I think it literally would have printed like 7 figures.
Well, Tommy, do you remember trading it when it was like in the 40s in here? No, even lower. Wow, it was just that little. Look at this. Like, I remember trading it.
Yeah.
I remember trading.
You caught the move out of that little vertical accumulation it did from the low 30s.
This was disgusting. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah. I got long Sol somewhere in here, and then just held it till like I don't even know where, but not the top. Probably somewhere in here. But then I punted leverage. Oh, this was beautiful. I punted leverage at like.
That was the Christmas long. I made a lot on that one.
I punted leverage at like 72 and just.
And they retested the whole thing too. Look at that. Look at that pullback they did.
I closed it somewhere on this lower high, but yeah.
The thing is, the second you flip that $30, bro, I was like, shorts are fucked on this coin. This thing's going higher. The minute it flipped 30, I was like, no. I was like, you can't be short now. I was like,
that was the first non-INJ altcoin to break out of accumulation, right?
Yeah.
If I'm thinking, if I remember correctly.
It was.
Link?
No, Link was later. Link came later.
Did Link break out first? Link might have gone before Sol.
I know.
No, it was Sol. Sol went first. Sol was the first one out of the gate at the bottom, man. Sol was legit the first one out of the gate. Like AI bid and Sol bid.
And INJ in 2022.
Yeah.
What is INJ doing today? I know Jackus has had his eye on it.
I don't think he's been doing much at all.
It's not doing much. I'm still waiting for it to drop lower. Basically, I think that the market still should, at least on many of these alts, like they are basically in nowhere.
Do you guys have any thoughts on Jump Capital liquidating almost their entire book over the last few days?
Of what?
Of like all their assets. I think they're exiting crypto completely.
They might be.
I have sold everything.
I was asking you, Tommy.
Currency market.
A week ago, I was asking you what's the situation with Jump, and they saying that they are liquidating all their crypto and leaving it. Do you remember?
I do.
A week ago.
That's Jump Crypto, right?
Yeah. I mean, their book's a lot smaller than it was in the peak of the bull run in 2021, but it's still a decently noteworthy amount of coins.
I think they're out.
So they pump their coins so that they can exit on retail, and now they're out. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. That's exactly what I think it was, though.
But market makers are only looking to make money out of spread. They are definitely not.
We call them VC scams for a reason, guys. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Jump. I've always not been a fan of theirs, though. I mean, what happened with Luna, they definitely had a lot of guilt, in my opinion. So, I mean, we'll see when Canav resigned, in my opinion, for a reason. You don't resign if your firm is about to have like really great times. So they're probably going to get charged, if I had to guess. That's probably why they're liquidating their holdings.
I think the reason they are liquidating all their holdings is due to regulatory issues. I think they said it like a year ago or something, that they gotta leave crypto because legislation, actually.
Yeah, that might be a big reason, but I do think they're probably going to still catch a charge. Just my personal opinion, right? Don't take it as a fact. That's just what I believe is going to happen because of the whole Luna debacle.
Could I get the chart for a minute there, Tucker? Let me get a chance. So I just want to point out the obvious for those who, in the back of the room never saw it coming. Boom, boom, boom. That's your support. That's your support. That's Rivian, for those curious. And we're going to go higher. We're going to send
Did RSI make a higher high? I can't tell.
Yes.
Ooh,
oh, no, it's about equal. But I think it will send. I think that this is Rivian's alpha error. And I think it's going to hit the 70 to 90 range on this time, which will probably put it, again, in this $24, $25 range. This is what I'm looking for. Maybe range for a long time here, and then start leveling up and pull back out of this downtrend that it's been in. Somebody asked about Lucid. Boom. And I've had this line here for a while. Why? Because it's solid support. Look at this heavy rejection right here. Look at that heavy rejection. That's what you're now competing against as support. All of your, once you broke this range, all of your sellers were out here. So now when you come back in this range, you're going to create buyers in this range. And so that'll be your support. Basically, Lucid to me looks bottom. Like, I don't think it can go much lower than this. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? It'll break the range and then we'll know. But this is the range you want to ideally watch for, is this right here. You stay above this range, you're going to sweep right back up again. And this will be another one too that'll continue up. This is why I have the calls for January on this. I don't think this will happen quickly. I think it'll take some months, and then it'll push back up in this range. You can get that nice juicy long. But yeah, these are the two that I guess were at. Lucid was asked about, and I just thought I'd bring Rivian into the fold. But
the most recent comment, Will, can you go over Michi?
Michi,
the ones that
do we even?
Oh.
You want me to cover it?
Yeah.
They don't have it on TradingView, do they?
I bet they do. Type it in.
Yeah, but how much history are we talking here? Rev. Not enough. Not enough history.
Well, you're on the weekly.
Yeah, but I mean that looks horrible.
All right.
That looks good. That looks kind of weird. Yeah, see, hold on. Look, we're just gonna do what we do best. It's called Deck Screener. Right? Study Deck Screener. Verify you're a human. Click it 3 times to do it. Love it.
Wait, we can't see it. You gotta.
Yeah, I gotta switch. Hold on. Let's go with.
Just put down a couple breakfasts.
Study verifying you're a human. All right, so we're gonna meet you.
Will is not a robot, guys, contrary to popular opinion.
I mean, I like the structure. It's just hard to tell if it's going to come all the way back down. But it is creating this kind of upswing here, right? Creating this upswing right in there. And I really don't think there's much alpha on the lows because they're almost equal lows if you look at it. But the sell pressure is kind of crazy. There's too much volume here too. Too much volume. So it's making me think it's distributive, especially since you broke back below here. Weren't able to swing long, but this could go like this and catch a break a little bit lower. If I'm wrong, then it'll swing here. But you need to what you're looking for on Michi is you're looking for a breakout up here. But this is a 5 mil market cap coin, liquidity wise. It's a 128 mil market cap FDV. So what are you looking for X's or percentage here? If you're looking for a percentage swing, I think you got a good RR risk to reward. But if you're looking for like an X return, I think your RR reduces. So that would be my thoughts on this. There's just, man, volume's kind of crazy. Like you knew kind of like coming into this, like your volume was dropping. Vol is kind of picked up here, right? Every time, what you want to look for with these coins is you want to look for these vol drops, right? That's where you can kind of buy into the play. You got a nice vol drop actually kind of occurring right now, but you could drop a little bit lower. But yeah, I could swing off of this, but I would expect it probably to come down more personally before that happened. Let me see the RSI. RSI looks good. I like the RSI as long as it can stay above the 50, right? Ideally, daily looks really strong. So if it breaks down, expect to move, and this would be kind of playing what I'm talking about into the range, into the trend. But you got a higher low structure kind of forming here. This is a bull div playing at the lows. You weren't able to really see this until it actually occurred. And then now if you come back into it again, you can bid off of this trend on RSI. It's interesting. It had this big sell pressure side, and then it started building buy pressure side now. So now it's moving this direction rather than this direction. So strength is good. I would just bid every low retest you get. Like if I were interested in this coin, I would start bids around here, and then if it went lower, I'd just bid it down, and then wait for the bounce, swing up. You could deleverage the high here, right? Or you could wait and see if it breaks out. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
I will say what I like about this meme that I think other meme coins should look to emulate in the future is that you can literally customize your own Michi or whatever. Like the cat, they have a randomizer, a generator that you can use with the cat to kind of make him your own. That's obviously a great way for people to kind of have their own individual spin on like their profile picture so they can rep the meme, which is what you want, right? You got to form a cult if you're going to be successful. So no, I think this is something a lot of other projects should try to emulate.
Mog.
Yeah, Mog's another one. You can just put the moggles on.
What Mog?
No, we're talking about the Mog generator. Have you seen that yet?
What?
They have a selfie generator to where you can put whatever image you want in there and put moggles on it in many different types.
Study moggles.
All right. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
Can you imagine if Trump said Mog this weekend?
Oh my
Like,
God.
yeah, we're
So
gonna
you
Mog.
get Mog, bro. Look, Tommy, look at this. What do we call this right here? It's even off the trend. What do we call this?
I'm kind of torn on this one, so don't ask me for my opinion on it.
Bro, you want me to show you what we call this? I'm gonna show you what we call
It
this.
could be vertical accumulation. It could be
There
distribution.
you go. Oh,
So
Tommy hit it. Tommy hit it.
Oh.
Bro, what are we talking about right here? Who wants to be a billionaire? Verticum. Study it. Study it. If this shit breaks down now, generational poverty. Study it.
Generational poverty.
You heard it straight from the doctor. No, I would agree with that, though. This is kind of one of those charts where in hindsight, it will be very obvious what it is, right? Like, is it vertical accumulation? Is it distribution? I think you can make some good arguments for both cases, quite frankly, right? Like, look at the market structure on a higher time frame. It has been just kind of persistently putting in structure that looks like this. Outsized dips that make you think the pump is over and then it pumps again. But I think at the same time, I'm seeing maybe a little bit of lower time frame weakness on the chart as well when I zoom in a bit. So I will say it's been strong today. If Bitcoin and ETH run from here, it will be one of the stronger coins in the market. You have to assume. But if Bitcoin and ETH break down, then I'm with your what verbiage did you use again, Will?
Study generational poverty.
Yeah, that's what I would say about Mog. But I do think in hindsight, like whichever way the structure breaks, you're going to be like, oh, well, I probably should have seen that coming. Yeah,
you in hindsight, you'll say you should have known, but nobody knows for sure at this point. If the market gets crushed, believe Mog will probably be affected. So if a downtrend starts to occur, believe it's real. I will say that. If this structure starts to break down, believe it's real because it's probably going to come down. Like here's the thing. I'm very 50-50 on this right now. Either Mog is going to Valhalla or it's going to pull a Pepe rug. Right? And it's going to really get crushed and then have some kind of like hero era later on. But you're going to get wrecked first if that ends up happening.
I think if we retrace the entirety of this weekly open pump on Mog, that would not be a good look.
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
just on a lower time frame structure.
What I need to see, and here's the thing, I'm very bullish Mog, but I would love to see just like some kind of FUD campaign came out. They start going at the team starts internal fights, and then this thing just gets obliterated, and then all of a sudden it's the hero era. One guy comes out, finishes the deving it. Everybody else, all the rest of the team leaves, and then this thing just runs, right? It's just going to take that one guy to step out. Look at the wallets. It takes that one guy to step out, and this thing's getting rugged. But for now, the structure looks great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not at all shit talking about. Like,
ironically,
I've been playing.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I was just going to say, ironically, I think the Milady cult is a big reason why Mog is so successful, and I think the Milady cult could be kind of a problem here because I don't know if you guys are aware, but they're launching another meme coin called Cult. And that will probably, I know there are basically every Milady is in that seed round. So I will say that's going to be really interesting to watch that PvP kind of unfold anyway, just within Cult. But I do think that could be a negative for Mog liquidity, at least in the short term, just because you have kind of a drain into the newest Milady coin, right? Like there's so many of them. And I will say this, like I love Miladies, the NFTs. I love trading them. And I remember buying one back in like the peak of the bear market in 2022. But we talk about VCs being value extractive from communities, and Miladies are very value extractive on chain. One of the most, arguably the most value extractive community in the entire crypto space. And I think that's worth being said as well. It's a tailwind for things like MOG when they're pumping, but it will serve as a headwind when some of these trends break. And I think that people need to be aware of that.
I love when there's like internal fighting, bro, and these things go all to hell because everybody stops bidding, everybody starts selling, and then I just look for the like devastation, and I come in and I just scoop. I'm like, everybody hates this coin. I love it.
Will wants the internal fighting. He needs it.
I thrive off of it.
It's a requirement for investment.
When people shit talk a coin and they like hated rallies are the best rallies because everybody keeps calling tops and it just keeps going up.
There she is. There she is. Study it.
I think you can tighten the invalidation even more than that, honestly.
I know.
That's funny, bro. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a big God candle, right? And everybody's like, oh, this is just the next level. And then it gets nuked.
Get back above there. 618, baby. 1618. Give it to me.
We always have to remember the bigger the pool, there's only so much liquidity to go around. Right? Like what I mean by that is like there are probably wallets, maybe, and here's the thing, I haven't gone through the wallets. I'm not even saying like MOG in general, but all coins that probably hold like more than like 80 to 90% of the supply between like 10 or 20, right? And all it takes is those guys to start to step out. And then they start stumbling over each other. And then everybody else who has the smaller investments, their investments get crushed. So you have to understand the crowded trade. That's why the thesis, the crowded trade. But I don't think MAGA is a crowded trade yet. But I think if it gets a God candle, like what we're talking about here, like with what I was talking about too, just some kind of God candle straight up.
Yeah.
Like you should step out probably on that God candle.
What do you guys think about this? I kind of know what most of our answers are going to be, but I'll start. I feel like it's more of an interesting question as time goes on. I personally do not think that memes are a net negative for the space. There are some that you could maybe argue are like celeb coins, for example. I mean, some meme coins are like just purely value extractive. Celeb meme coins, I can point to things like Slurf back in Q1. Pre-sales, I think those are net negatives because they drain liquidity and put them directly into the hands of scammers.
Farming.
But yeah, but like meme coins as a whole, I do not think are a net negative for the space. I think that's people like crypto is a vehicle for speculation at the end of the day. And right now there's kind of a void when you look at fundamentals within crypto, what's actually worth bidding, right? Like it's Bitcoin. For me, it's Bitcoin. And then you have probably Solana. And then you have these other coins that they have a stated utility, but they're not really being bid because there's not really a market for them, right? Like Solana has a product market fit. You're going to buy Solana because you want to go degen on chain. You're not going to buy this VC shitcoin because it doesn't really do anything for you. There's no application that you're necessarily using to provide value for yourself. So I think going forward, a lot of the quote unquote utility in crypto is going to be driven by these apps that people really want to use. And the vehicles for speculation are less going to be what used to be fundamental coins that you would speculate on, appreciating a lot going forward, right? Like we look at the 2017, 2018 ICO mania, 2021. A lot of these coins we used to view as the future of finance, that's going to be less where I think people speculate and more where people look for long-term investability within crypto, while meme coins will serve a very clear purpose, which will be a very clear a very clear vehicle for speculation and a way for people to kind of bet on the valuation of internet culture, which I've always thought is pretty cool and exclusive to crypto because you can't do that in equities. You can't tokenize internet culture and trade it as a stock, but you can in crypto. So I think that's something really cool that you can do within crypto. So I think just broad brushing meme coins, like, are they a value add? Are they value extractive? I think you kind of have to apply a little bit of like a filter to it. But I in general, I think meme coins are good. They're certainly not any worse than coins that say that they are doing something truly fundamentally useful, but don't really do anything other than dump on you.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of speak on that too, because people always think that memes are extractive. There's nothing is extractive if there's a bid and there's an ask, right? If somebody's willing to buy and somebody's willing to sell, it's not extractive. It's two people agreeing on price. What is extractive, in my opinion? It's calling something a fundamental coin, when in reality it's just another coin that really doesn't have a use case. Saying that you need all these layer 2s and layer 3s with no users is fundamentally just bullshit. That's all it is. Like you're claiming that they will come, but you don't know that they will come.
Infrastructure for people that aren't here. Like,
yeah, that's technically extractive, is creating infrastructure for people that don't exist. And I say don't exist because half of these chains probably won't see liquidity. And then in addition to that, but they had people buying them thinking that they would. In addition to that, airdrop farming, right? That's extractive. That's extractive through the way of what? It's creating exit liquidity for the people that are willing to farm the airdrop. You tell everybody this is the next coin, wormhole, and you say, hey, everybody buy in, everybody buys into it, and then what happens? All the people that airdrop farmed dump on you, and then the coin goes nowhere. And these, again, more scenarios. Go ahead.
I love this take, Will, and I think this is something that has been kind of a take from Bitcoin maxis for a long time, is that like lots of these crypto coins are solving issues for people that are not there. Like usually, you have a problem within society, and then an entrepreneur comes in and tries to solve it and sell it to those who are in need. But crypto is solving problems that doesn't exist, and then it's trying to find users for it. so I think you said it there perfectly with lots of these quote unquote fundamental coins. And I think the market kind of saw this cycle, right? It was like, fuck all these L1s and L2s and everything. If I'm supposed to gamble on something, then I'll go just full on risk curve and just bet on memes. That said, just to quickly follow up, I do think that like crypto will come up with something actually solving something. But until then, the retail will be betting on the highest risk.
the future is going to be what apps are actually onboarding new users because the product is good.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Solana's doing, right? Solana is onboarding people because people like Solana. They like the speed, they like the gamble, they like what's going on over there. And it's real though. That's a real statement. People are not on ETH because there's nothing going on there. I mean, there's a couple gamble plays, so they're bidding those, but there's nothing else going on. There's nothing going on 90% of these chains. They're just all talk and fluff. That's all they are. And they continue to pay influencers to try and show you that there's something going on that's really not going on. How can we tell what's going on? How can we definitively say what's going on? People are talking with their pockets. If there's no money in the ecosystem, we can definitively say there's nothing going on there. Nothing that interests people. There might be things being built, but it's not interesting to anybody. Nobody's interested in playing over there. And that's what this is. It's entertainment.
This is why I like Hyperliquid, because they have legitimate users and legitimately loyal liquidity. And this showed even after their points program was paused in May, the network activity didn't drop off at all. And then, after you have that liquidity present, after you have people actually using your chain, then you build everything out, right? Then you build out the lending platform. Then you build out shitcoining. Then you build out the ecosystem that people are going to continue to use. But you don't just build out an entire chain before people have any idea what you're about. Because as we're seeing, I mean, look at all these ghost chains with literally nothing going on a regular basis. And I can't imagine that changes until, I mean, that's going to be very much tethered on liquidity conditions at the end of the day, but you don't want to just be reliant on liquidity conditions. Otherwise, what's the point of saying, fundamentals if you're literally just a product of liquidity?
Well, here's an example real quick, and then I'll let Jackus kick in her ass if he wants to say something. But let's say you're a business owner and you're looking for a place to put a new building, right? A new factory. You don't go and put it in the countryside where there's like 10 people and say, I'm going to build a new factory here that can supply 500,000 people with this product. And I need 2,000 people for the job, and you only have 10 people in the city. Like your building's just going to sit there and wait for those people to move there. So you have the people to work there, and then it's going to wait for the city to be built. So that way people will buy your product. And that theoretically just doesn't make any sense. You're basically just you're building something that's never going to happen, at least not in the time frame that you need it to. And now your building's worthless. Like, and that's what I see a lot of these L1s, L2s doing, is they're building an ecosystem that nobody's there. Nobody's there. They're trying to create attraction, but they don't have it. They don't have the edge. You can go, Jacket. So
yeah, I was just gonna add to that to put like an opposing side to all of us saying this, right? Basically, is that within the internet era, there's been also lots of people who were like saying, hey, like how are you gonna monetize internet? How are you gonna, like, nobody's gonna use this, it's just bunch of code, whatever. And then lots of people did not see what it's going to do. And I mean, that's totally understandable, because back in the day, like, nobody knew what internet is going to become, just like lots of people are not seeing what crypto is going to become. So there is also a case for lots of these chains and coins that, like, we have to acknowledge that maybe we are not seeing what some of, and I'm totally in the camp that like most of them are just worthless garbage and are trending towards zero. But I would also say that there are many that will just stay and do exceptionally well over the years, and they will deliver something we are not currently seeing, right? And I mean, the hard part is that you will see every retail normie guy come in and say, my chain is the one. Everyone will say this, right? About every single chain. And like super tiny percentage of them will be right, but essentially nobody really knows.
Wait, hold up. Can you guys hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, you can't really see it with the background. I got the mic up finally. How does it sound?
All right.
Whoa.
Nice? Boom.
Very nice.
It sounds like you're talking through a toilet bowl with no water.
You can start OnlyFans now, Tucker.
Is it good though? Is it good?
Yeah, it's good, man.
OnlyFans.
All right, good. I'll do ASMR.
No, but I do think there are use case coins, like for instance, Filecoin, right? And I'm not shilling. I'm just telling you guys like what my thoughts are. Like Filecoin is it's one of those things that provides storage for the space. So it is creating a solution, right? It's allowing you to have a decentralized storage, and a lot of these platforms that are in the space want that decentralized storage, and they looked at things like Filecoin, Sidecoin, and other ones. And they're like, okay, we're going to use these as our one-stop shop for this space. So they're solving a solution within a space. But some of these L1s, like, oh, when we get more people, then they'll come to our chain. That's not an explanation of a solution to why you built your chain. You either build it for speed, you build it for onboarding, you build it for money train. Like, what is the reason for that? Oh, when we get more people, they'll use our chain. No, that's a stupid ass response.
You know what?
And I feel like that's a lot of them.
Barachain still has not launched. I remember hearing about it in like the beginning of 2021.
Oh my god, dude, Barachain.
I'm pretty bearish on Barachain after that modularity conference. I don't know about you, Tucker.
Was there ever a reason to not be bearish on Barachain? Like, what do you, who named that thing? Like, No, yeah, that conference was bad, man. That was
the top of modularity.
it was hard to listen to. It was.
I will say this too, like, and no hate on the hexagons. I know it sucks, but
The Hexican.
you know, Pulse Chain, bro, what a disappointment, man. Come on,
That actually
Richard
had
Bart.
decent activity for like a week or two. I was surprised by
A
that.
week or two.
It was more successful than Blast.
Yeah, that's true.
Blast was a joke. I told people that though. I was like, why would you even touch that?
Yeah. I mean,
I will say
term line in the sand, bro.
to your Filecoin point, Will, I think that data storage with the advent of AI is going to be one of the, like, if you want to know what to invest in, think about when people can just create content out of thin air, basically, with AI coming in. Where are they going to store all of the stuff that we can create, all of the simulations that AI is inevitably going to run? It's going to have to go somewhere. Data storage, I think, is something that if you believe in AI, like I'm sure you could find some great data storage investments to make at the end of the day, because there's going to be a huge necessity for places to store it.
Yeah. And therefore, I would also add to me the decentralized GPU power that's going to render it.
Yep, that's a good one too. GPU power is like, if you've ever worked in a construction field on any type or any place that does rendering, GPU power is like one of the hardest things to come by for a lot of companies, and they're willing to pay for outsourced GPU power too. So GPUs are very expensive. It's much cheaper to just outsource and do it somewhere, do a third party, and less hassle, less upkeep, less maintenance. So I do believe that honestly, I think GPU farms that you see for Bitcoin are going to be just as relevant in the rendering world eventually, especially on the AI side.
No, I don't know a ton about AI, but I do know just enough, I think, to to find an edge or two. But I think this is a good spot to wrap up the show. What do you think, guys?
Yeah,
agree.
All right. So. What did we get to with the like button before I do that? Okay, we hit 200. We hit 200, but I'm going to expect y'all to bring your A game for the rest of the week, because we definitely will as a panel. But to wrap up a few things before we end the show, guys, a reminder, we have launched our brand new hedge fund. BB Wealth Management is a fund primarily focused on investing in digital assets in a way that obviously takes into account their asymmetric history for upside returns, as well as the investment risk posed in any market. So becoming an LP or an accredited investor is something that interests you. We do have more information linked in the description below. Just reach out to us via email. We will get back to you as quickly as we can with all of the information that you could possibly need. But we are beyond excited, not just that we can trade it ourselves, but also, of course, offer you guys, the community, the opportunity to participate as well. Some of you have been here with us on this journey for a very long time, right? Like since probably mid 2023. Some of you even before 2023 even started. There are a handful of you that were watching Market Check back when we only had like 9 or 10 viewers on a daily basis. But shout out to you guys if you are in the audience. Not to forget BB Academy, guys. As I always say, I think it is the best bang for your buck course in the market. I mean, not even just bang for your buck. It's just probably the best course, right? You get to learn from a multitude of different traders, a multitude of different trading styles. We all approach the market in a very different way, and there is tremendous value in understanding that. Obviously, you get to see how I trade, how Tucker trades, Jackus, Will, how we approach the market, how we analyze things. I really think it's invaluable material, whether you're trying to create kind of an educational base to get started, or whether you're trying to take your trading to the next level. It is, I think, the best course on the market at the moment. But talking about our programming, guys, if you enjoyed Market Check, we will be back for another episode live. Typical start time around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. So if you're wondering, are they going live today on Market Check? Just ask yourself, is the New York Stock Exchange open? You can catch us here on YouTube at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. Like I said, typical start time. Not to forget Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi. Wabi always has some really great guests on, and the flow of conversation will be very determined by who those guests are. So, yeah, make sure to tune in for his show as well. He does a great job, and it is a great afternoon fix for markets. If you enjoyed Market Check in the morning, you want some market talk, maybe in the afternoon, to help you digest things a little bit after the close. Like I said, Wabi always does a fantastic job with that show. But that is it from us, guys. We will see you live for another episode of Market Check tomorrow morning. But thank you so much for tuning in, as always, guys, and stay safe.
Let me close this puppy.